Hi, I'm Jeff, and I play the Hammond B3 here at RiverTree. Today I'm going to walk you through the song, Great Is Thy Faithfulness. But first, I want to take a few minutes and talk to you about the Hammond B3 and the settings that I used on this song. And then we will move into the actual song. The Hammond organ was first manufactured in 1935 by a gentleman named Lawrence Hammond. He actually was a clockmaker and had a company called Hammond Clocks. It was in 1954 that the Hammond B3, in the case here the Hammond C3, which is identical to the B3 but in a church cabinet, was first manufactured. It's the drawbars that makes the Hammond so special. The Hammond was made to replicate a pipe organ. Each of the drawbar settings actually replicate a pipe pitch on a Hammond organ. If we look at the chart that we have here, you can see that the 16, the 8, the 4, 2, and the 1 will give you a separate octave for every note you're playing. And then the 5 and a third actually, for example, on a C, would add a G, the 2 and 2/3 would add a G, and the 1 3/5 actually adds an E. So the chart we just looked at, I can show you the 8-foot drawbar, basically let's say a middle C. If I play an octave below, that's what the 16-foot gives you. If I add an octave above, the octave. So we basically have 5 C notes for 1. I play 2, we now have 10 notes. So this is what gives you that big, like pipe organ sound. We could push a couple of these back and have a nice sound. Very nice sound for him. To make this a little more colorful, what I decided to do was actually bring in the 5 and a third, which adds a fifth, and also the 2 and 2/3, and it gives us a little bit more of a nice feel and a nice sound. What's interesting about the Hammond, the exact same registration, depending on how you play it, can go from a church sound to a jazz organ. It's used in many jazz styles or even rock and roll today. So we'll go ahead now and move into the song. So the introduction for Great Is Thy Faithfulness, I used the second half of the verse. Take up the F sharp, you get the diminished, the 6th, add the 7th. Now for the verse, we have great faithfulness is an F7 to an F6, up to the 7th. Add an F chord here. Now in turning here, you could just hold the D, or you could even take it to where you could walk up the bass. But what I did is I added a 3rd in the right hand on top of the bass to give you some harmony. So what we have now is this. Back to the G7. Now like you heard in the intro. Down to the 6th. Add the F sharp for the diminished. Here's your 6th. Down to the 7th. So for the chorus, we add the F again. Now here we're going to go into a D minor suspended chord to D minor. The bass with the harmony. Back to the 7th. To diminished. Add the 6th. Now for the ending, take it up to a C suspension, down to a C2, and back up to C. And that's it. That's how we did Great Is Thy Faithfulness, and I thank you for the opportunity to spend these few minutes with you today.